Okay, so now that we have done some refining to the legs and the feet of our character, and some other areas as well, let's focus now on the arms, and let's make some hands. Now, since we really don't need to refer to our templates anymore, I've hidden them. So I just simply right-clicked in the viewports and I said a hide selection with those templates selected. So they're not showing up now. But what really would be helpful is to still have a reference, and that reference should be something like a concept drawing, so we can have sort of a general feel for what we really want our character to look like. We've got a good start. Proportionally, he's correct. We've got a couple other, a lot of other things that we've done. But now we really need to start working in the perspective view almost exclusively, and so forth. So what we're going to do is I'm going to move this character out of the way, move it over a little bit like this, okay? And I'm going to create a plane in the left viewport. All right, and then I'm going to go to the material editor, and I'm going to import, which I've already done, the concept drawing here. So let me just take a look at this. All I did was just simply go into my production folder where the concept drawing image is, and that should be in your production folder also. And then I brought it into the diffuse color slot, just like we did with the templates. Okay. And we're going to do a very similar thing that we did with the templates. We're just going to apply that image to this plane, and we're going to leave it in this left viewport because we're going to turn this viewport over here into a perspective view. So let's go take a look at the dimensions for this so that we can change the size of our plane to fit. View image, right click, like we did before, and it's 2400 pixels by 3000 pixels. So 24 by 30 as a proportion will work just great in inches. So we're going to use that as a proportion. 24 wide by 30 high. Okay? So let's put this guy away for the moment. And we'll go over to, and by the way, let's go ahead and reduce the length and width segments of this thing here. Okay? There we go. And so the length is the same as the height, so that's going to be 30. And the width should be 24. Okay, now all we need to do is just zoom in a little bit. And then apply our image. And there we have it. So now we have, of course I have this show shaded material in viewport. Don't forget that. Whenever you apply a material to something and it doesn't show up in the viewport, then that's one of the reasons why. Another reason would be that if enable transparency is turned on, you may not be able to see it in the viewport. Okay, and another reason would be possibly that over here, that if it's frozen, show frozen in gray, if that's checked, it's not frozen right now, so it's fine. Or see-through is turned on here. Those things will sometimes keep it from showing up in the viewport. Okay, so we have it applied now. Now, one of the problems is that it's right in the middle of our character. You can see it at least in the front view here. So what we need to do here is I'm going to change this to a perspective view, okay, by just hitting the P key on the keyboard. Now we're in perspective view over here, and we're going to work in perspective view a lot. All right. So we may, resize that a little bit so that we can have a little bit more room to work, yet still be able to see our image in the viewport. So as long as this guy is big enough, let's resize it just a little bit more. We want to keep enough space over here to be able to see what we're doing. There we go. All right, so now let's zoom out quite a bit and see this thing. All we need to do is move it way, way, way over. And as long as it's far enough away from our character in the perspective view, it won't be it won't interfere with us rotating around and seeing all angles of our character. Now we may see it flash and from a distance way over there, but that's not distracting, so that's okay. And yet, because this is an orthographic viewport, I want to reinforce that again, you notice that it didn't change sizes or anything, because the lines of projection, no matter how far away that thing is going to appear to be the same size. It's not going to get smaller as it goes farther away like it would in perspective view. Okay, so here we go. Let's get busy on this. All right, so we got our reference here. We'll just kind of be looking at this and talking about this as we work on our character. But primarily, what we're going to be doing is creating some hands. Now, my concept drawing, the character has 4 fingers and a thumb. Well, I'm going to do the usual cartoon kind of like thing here, and give him 3 fingers and a thumb. It's going to work better with the way that I set this up. So let's go into the Modify tab here, and let's go to vertex mode, and make sure that we have show end results on off toggle turned on so that we can see the mesh smooth and the vertices. Although for right now I'm going to turn off mesh smooth up here. It'll be easier to select the stuff that I want to select and work with. Because what we need to do first of all is to get this hand, the vertices in the hand kind of in position here. So we want to select these guys and scale them or move them down. Let's see. You know, in fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with polygons first and try scaling first, and then we'll adjust the vertices afterwards. I think that makes more sense. I'm holding down the Control key to select all these polygons on the end, and then I'm going to get my scale tool, right click, get the scale tool, and I'm going to scale this. I'm going to use the local reference system to scale these polygons down. That'll give us a little bit better approach to this. Okay, now we can work with vertices. See what I did? I kind of, because remember our palm and our wrist actually gets thinner as it gets closer to our palm, and the wrist at the top of the palm is about the same width. And so that's kind of what we're after in this direction. Let's get our vertices, and let's start adjusting these vertices by moving them around. Let's get the Move tool, and I'm going to just simply move these vertices around just a little bit so that they're lined up a bit. Move them so that we have a fairly even. There we go. Fairly even set of polygons when we're done here. Let's move this one over first. And once we have this set up, then we'll be able to extrude out the palm of the hand. That's really the purpose of doing this whole part here. We've got to get these evened out a bit first. Okay, it's not too bad there. I think we might be in good shape for extruding these out. Although they're not exactly even here, so let's get them a little more even. Okay, that should probably do it. Alright, so let's go back to polygons, get those polygons selected on the end, and we should be able to extrude this out now. So I'm going to rotate this around so we can see roughly the extrusion, and I'm looking at it in proportion or relationship to the actual forearm. And the forearm is kind of long, but if you look at it in proportion to the character, it's really about right. It may not look exactly like my concept drawing, and I want to really reinforce that. The idea is that this is just a concept drawing. It's an idea of the personality and the look and feel of what the character should be, but not exactly. His legs are already longer, and I think I decided on doing that when I did the templates because I just thought it would work better for us in the long run. So I've already deviated from the character concept drawing. So let's go ahead and extrude these out. So I'll get my extrude tool. Okay, and boom, that's pretty long. Let's pull this in a little bit here. And let's zoom in just a little bit so we can see what we're doing. And okay. So we want that palm to be probably about that wide right there. And then what we're going to want to do, and we're going to check that so that we keep it. And then what we'll be able to do is then actually scale those polygons down even more now, this way, and then out a bit this way, because the palm is wider than the than the than the wrist is. At least, in this direction it is. Now it's a little bit, crooked, and that's natural because of the nature of the fact that it's at an angle. And so we're going to continually have to make some adjustments to, these vertices here and move them over. Let's grab them a little bit better here. There we go. Grab those, and all I really need to do is just sort of move those over. Grab the ones in the middle here. Move those over a little bit. And look at it from this direction as well. So this needs to move this way. That is one of the challenges of doing things, working with things that are on a diagonal. The legs are pretty much straight up and down, torso is pretty much straight up and down. A lot of the stuff is pretty straightforward, but when you get to this area here where you have your arm going at an angle and so forth, it does make it a little bit more challenging. Because what we're going to end up doing is extruding the fingers out, okay, from here. And so what I need to do right now, before I forget, is move this over a little bit. And I'm going to pull this out just a little bit so it's more even. We're constantly going to have to make these kinds of adjustments as we work. And if we don't catch them early on, I think I talked about that earlier, then you're going to have more problems. All right. So one of the things we're going to end up doing is extruding the fingers out from here, and we're going to extrude the thumb out from a little higher up on here. So we need a couple more cuts on here. So we're going to do that real quick. And once again, I'm going to use the quick slice tool for this because that's a really good way to do it. And I'm not going to get into the what do you call it? I'm not going to get into the left view or whatever to do it this time because of the arm being at an angle. I need to have that arm as straight down, up and down as possible. In order to do that, I can be in the position of the. In fact, actually, that may be handy. Let's go ahead and change this to a left view. I just thought of something here that might actually be a good idea. If I zoom in here, I'll be able to angle this more accurately, I think, in an orthographic view. Because the lines of projection don't change. Okay? So we're going to keep that in mind. Alright, so go to polygon mode and select just these polygons here. And deselect that one, of course. And just make sure that nothing's selected that we don't want selected. I think I have something on the back of the leg here selected. There we go. So let's get that one deselected there as well. What we want is just this right here, so I can make a nice cut through here, and now we don't have to worry about it going through any of the other any other parts of the character because of the polygons just being selected. So let's do this. So we're going to make a cut right about here. Now I could have extruded this out multiple times and done it that way, but it's really just kind of 6 of one, half dozen of the other, what you like to do and what you're comfortable with. I'm trying to make it easy for you guys, and it can get a little confusing extruding and then extruding and trying to get it right the first time, whereas you just extrude it out and then make some cuts. It's usually a little easier. Okay, and so we're going to go ahead and create a cut here all the way around. There we go. So now we have cuts going all the way around that hand. Well, I didn't get the other side of the hand. You know why? Because that ignore back facing turned on. So we need to reselect those. Let's undo that a couple of times. Get rid of those cuts. Okay. So I'm going to be a little more careful this time when I select them because I'm going to go over here and do this. Alright, select, whoops, get out of quick slice. Select all of these polygons right there. Every single, let's get these as well. Oh, I have ignored back facing turn everything. Dang. We'll get this right, sorry. Alright, here we go. Now we're set. Now we can do some slicing. Okay. Quick slice tool. Slice right about there. And slice right about there. Now that should be going all the way around. There we go. That's what we're after. All right. So now that we have that done, we can begin thinking about how we're going to extrude out the thumb. And let's get our vertices here. What we're going to, whoops, get out of the quick slice tool. And we're going to just sort of move some of these vertices up just a little bit for the thumb. And that should be okay for that. Select these polygons on the end here and extrude out the thumb. There we go. All right. And now the very first part of this extrusion needs to be really, really short. So I'm going to do it the other way this time. What do you think about that? So let's do that. Extrude this out. Now I'm going to show you how this works if you want to extrude and also scale polygons as well. We don't want to scale polygons right now, because what it'll do is it won't scale from here. It'll scale from right here on this edge. We don't want that. So what we're going to do is rotate this around just a little bit, okay, and show you how we can extrude, scale, rotate, and do all those kinds of things to try to make a decent thumb. So what we'll do is we'll add to that selection. Now I can scale uniformly. See what it's doing? It's scaling from here and on there. Now it's adjusting that a little bit, but that's okay. We want that angle. But what it's actually doing is it's not just scaling these polygons, but it's scaling the polygons that would have been on those edges there. So it's sort of scaling that edge as well. Make sense? I'm also going to move that in just a little bit, because we don't want it too far apart. And then we're going to add another selection or extrusion. And what I'm doing is I'm making those joints, so to speak. You have to have edges close together for the thumb and the fingers and the knees and the and the elbows, those parts of the arms and legs and everything, to be able to bend. All right, and so we'll do one more just like that. So add to it, and then I'm going to scale. I think I'll do this one more. Now let's keep it simple. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add another one and scale this up now. See, now we're going to make the end of, and also bring this out a little bit farther, and this is going to be part of the end of the thumb. There we go. And then add to that. Bring that in just a little bit, and then bring it, and then add to that, and that should be the last one. And whoops. So let me see what I do here. Let's get that extrude. There we go. I think I hit that instead. Okay, here we go. So we got that going. Good. Now we should be able to go ahead and scale that down. There we go. Good. Save that. Get out of there. Get our vertices and select those vertices on the end. And see, we've got the beginning of a thumb going on here. Now I could have rotated some of that stuff as I was going. Maybe that would have been easier, but not necessarily. So we got the thumb, and it's kind of going straight out from the hand. If you ever paid attention to what your hand looks like, it doesn't work that way. So what we're going to need to do is select some of these vertices here. Zoom in real tight. Move tool. Zoom in real tight here. Turn on ignore. Well, I want to keep ignore back. There we go. We're going to select these vertices. There we go. And I'm going to deselect some of them. Actually, I want to select that one. I want to select that one. Oops. I got it. There we go. Got it. And then around this side, I want to make sure I got them all selected all the way around. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually move this down a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to rotate. Okay. Let's move it down a little bit more. Move tool. And then I'm going to grab the vertices on the end of the thumb here. I'm going to get my fence selection tools, so I'm working with angles. And I'm only going to select these on the end here. and I'm going to scale them down a little bit more. Okay. And then when we turn Mesh Smooth on, you'll see that it's starting to look like kind of a stubby thumb, which is kind of a cartoon kind of look, you know. Probably some of the things I could do that would make this look a little bit better, refine this a little bit more, is to create, is to select, you know, these vertices here, perhaps, get the move tool, and get them moved back this way. And I can also, you know, shape this out a little bit better by selecting like a group of vertices here, because what we did here was we just basically got a shape going, and now we're going to actually try to make this look more like a thumb. Rotate around, and with a yeah, should be a little flatter on top here. It would be sort of, if you're looking at thinking of a human hand, it'd be sort of where the thumbnail is, and this is sort of like this pad part here. All right, now we might want to add some extra edges going this direction here, just to get a little bit more detail in here and be able to round this off a little bit better. And so we can do that in just a little bit, but let's get busy extruding out the fingers. The fingers are going to be a little bit more straightforward, so to speak. I'm going to get these edges, or well, yeah, edges essentially. But I'm going to get these vertices in line a little bit better here, lined up. And they don't have to be perfect. I mean, you can see that the extrusion works just fine even if they're not perfectly straight. The idea is that we want to get them set up so that when we do extrude the fingers out, they're sort of the right size. Now this is going to end up being the pinky, and so that's going to be a little bit smaller finger, obviously. The middle finger here is going to be a little bit bigger, and so we'll have that going for us here in a minute. Okay, and then forefinger. I can bring this in just a little bit, I think. Alright. Before you know it, we'll have some fingers. Just refining some things here a little bit so that we can be set for when we continue with some more detail work a little later. All right, so let's get our polygons in the end here. Oop. Oh, come on, why are you being that way? Oh, I got element, that's why. Sometimes I select element because it looks so much like a polygon button. But that's not what we're after. Okay, so let's rotate this around a little bit. Zoom out just a little bit. And much like the thumb, we're going to extrude this out in sections. Okay. So what we need to do is we're going to do these fingers one at a time. And the reason why is because if we don't, it's going to extrude out one big block here, and we want to extrude these out as separate pieces. So we're going to select, let's start with the index finger, because it's going to be one of the longer ones, a little bit longer than the pinky. Okay, so grab these two polygons here, extrude, and of course these come out a little ways here. About to, oh, let's just say right about there. And let's add to that and then bring that back, because we're creating sort of a knuckle now. Right about, oh, to probably right about there. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to extrude out again. And then this is going to be a little bit longer part. This is the second joint of the finger. Okay, and this needs to grow up a little bit, so we're going to scale this up right now. What it'll do is it'll scale out that part right there, just a bit. We can scale these in later. Okay, so then we'll look. Let's do that again. Oh, I got out of the accidentally clicked out of the. Let's get out of here again. There we go. I'm kind of messing up a little bit today. It happens. Alright, so let's get back to the extrude. Okay, there we go. Alright, now let's hit a couple more segments here for this extrusion, and then I think right now is a good time to scale that up, you know, a decent amount here. So right click and scale this. There we go, a little bit like that. There we go. And then add to it. Bring it out a little bit more. Yep, one more. There we go. And then with this one, we're going to bring out a little bit more. And this represents the third joint of the finger, which is pretty short. And we want this to kind of be scaled up a bit. There we go. And there we have it. We have our first finger. So let's take a select now, it couldn't hurt to scale this part in just a little bit on the end. Make it feel a little bit more like a finger. Let's get out of Mesh Smooth for a second here. See what we created here? And of course, Mesh Smooth rounds it off very nicely. And it can't, but we need to adjust some things here because you can see how angular well, kind of they're going in sort of a wrong direction. Let's put it that way. So we're just going to move these in a little bit. We don't want these to be perfectly square. That will cause it to be a little bit more of a round quality to the end of the finger to look more natural. Let me turn Mesh Smooth back on. That's what I'm talking about. So it looks a little bit more like a cartoon finger. Might be a little bit larger than it should be, but let's see what we can do here. Scale that in a little bit. I'm going to scale this uniformly down a little bit. And then move it this way just a tiny bit. There we go. There we go. So this is going to, you know, the first one is always a challenge because we're trying to get these proportions just right. I also want to move this over just a little bit and then rotate it just a little bit so that it's facing the right direction. And then move it again just a little bit. There we go. So that when I extrude the next one out and the one after that, and let's rotate this away now. There we go. There we go. That's not bad. So we have some pretty decent start to our fingers. All right, so let's turn off Mesh Smooth and get this middle finger going here, and we'll extrude that out. And what we're going to use is we're going to use this as a guide. We know we want the middle finger. You know, you notice how if you put your hands flat on a table, your index finger is shorter than your middle finger is longer than the one next to it. Well, we only have 3 fingers, then we have a pinky. So we're going to kind of treat this like kind of like a normal hand, except the fact that it doesn't have 4 fingers; it's only 3. So, all right, let's go ahead and extrude this out just a little bit farther because, like I said, it is going to need to be. And this time, I'm just going to use the method of just simply making these extrusions. Now that I have all these, you know, just do all the extrusions, and keep it simple that way. And there we have it. So there we have one finger. So let's go ahead and do the other one, and then we'll shape them so that they look better. We'll worry about shaping them afterwards. All right. And so the first extrusion I am going to rotate out just a little bit, and then from that point, just so that we can get it going in the right direction. A thing that will actually help us with this is really what should be happening here, if you think about it, is this really isn't meant to be perfectly straight. So if we move these vertices over this way, that's going to look more natural, and perhaps even move that one a little bit that way. We move this one over this way a little bit, and then when I rotate this later on, it'll work out just great. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and select all these vertices and move these in this direction, and now it'll extrude out that way. Okay? So let's get busy with, uh-oh, I didn't save that last part, did I? Let's go back to these. Silly me. Polygons. All right, let's extrude that out again. There we go. And this time, check. There we go. Now we got it. Okay, so I'm going to select this polygon and this polygon, and we're going to start extruding again. But we're going to get it lined up so that we can see the extrusions, and this finger is going to be just a little bit shorter than the index finger. So we'll start by extruding. It's not too far off already. Pretty good. Let's maybe bring it in just a tiny bit. Okay, and then extrude. Then add to that. Oop, undo one. Control Z. There we go. And then bring that in a little bit for the knuckle. Okay. And then add to that, but bring it out to about there. And then add to that, but bring it in so we can create the knuckle area here. One more, and then bring this out so that it is the pinky. And there we go. All right, and then check it. All right, we're in pretty good shape. We got some fingers almost ready here. So all we need to do now is really just kind of shape this out. So we're going to work in vertex mode. Try to get these lined up a bit in the viewport so that you can see what we're doing here. Okay, just right. There we go. And now all I have to do is, with my thin selection tool, selections around these guys, and scale these out a bit. Scale out a little bit there. Okay. All of these need to come out just a little bit. So I'm going to select them all. Uniformly scale that out, like that. And then this needs to scale out even more. Uniformly scale that out, and of course uniformly means it's scaling it out all the way around, and then this could come in a little bit. Okay, there we go. Now we're also going to make some cuts on the ends of these fingers too to shape them out a little bit better. So see, this actually probably was an easier way to go, as I mentioned in the beginning. But I thought I'd show you how you could possibly do it the other way, where you scale and extrude kind of in the same, all in the same process. But obviously, it really works, I think, a little bit better to do this this stuff after the fact. You just feel like you have a little bit more control, and there's no guesswork. You're just making it work. And then I'm going to select all these guys here. Scale these out just a little bit like that. Scale this one out just a little bit. A bit more. And scale this back in a little bit more. Okay, now let me show you what I'm going to do, what we're going to do on the ends of the fingers to finish this off, and then we'll be done with this video, and we'll get busy working on other parts of the character. So let's rotate so we can see the ends here. Now what we have are these just two polygons on the end right here, right? What we really want to have is sort of a shape in the middle here that allows for the polygons in the middle to kind of come to a little square right in the middle here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my cut tool, and then we're going to do this. We're going to go from here to there, and from here to there. Okay? We can remove this vertex right here. This edge right, this polygon right here. Okay? Or maybe not yet. Let's go ahead and do this, some more cutting here. Let's do this. We'll create a cut from here to here, all the way through to here, to here, and to here. Now what we end up with in this situation is we got four-sided polygons all the way around the outside here. That's really great. But then we have some triangles in the middle. So let's see what we can do about that. Let's zoom in pretty tight to that finger. See what we can do about this. This is like a little puzzle. We've got extra polygons in the middle here as well. So ultimately, let's remove those polygons. I mean, not polygons, vertices. Get those vertices, get out of the cut tool. Let's select those guys. And let's remove them. Okay, so that creates a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-sided polygon. Very, very bad, right? Well, all we really need to do, now that I see it, is this will work out just fine. We just need to have an edge going from here to here. If we do that, then we'll have two four-sided polygons inside of here. So that's pretty straightforward. I just wanted to get rid of that bunch of vertices that I saw in the middle there. And now we have this. So by doing that, so, you know, there's a couple of ways we could have handled this. I could have gone to here, and then over to here, and then over to here, and so forth, and just kind of left that there. And that's what I'm going to do next time. I was solving a puzzle just then. So this is all good right here. So what we can do with this now is I can select just these polygons in the, let's get out of the cut tool. Select just these polygons in the middle here. Rotate a little bit and just sort of pull those out just a little bit, see? And then when we turn on Mesh Smooth, it makes our finger just that much rounder, just a little bit smoother in the roundness. I mean, the Mesh Smooth tool does a great job of rounding things off anyway, but there's some times when we need to add a little bit more detail so the roundness is a little bit better. Let's get out of Mesh Smooth and let's do the other method that I was just talking about. So I'm going to do a little bit different cutting this time. Watch this. So we're going to click here. We're going to click right in the middle of the polygon. Right about there. Now we're going to go over to here, and then we're going to go over to here to the vertex. Okay? Let's get the vertices so we can actually see those vertices. It makes it easier. And then I'm going to click from here to here to here, back to there. Okay, you see the pattern? And I'm going to go from here to there, and from here to there. Count them. All four-sided polygons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., etc. Okay? Let's do the same thing over here. And right click to get out. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. And then right click to get out. And then go to here. Go to there, and we can adjust these vertices a little bit too. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's get out of the cut tool and let's move these vertices a little bit so that they're a little more even. We want to try to be conscious of evening things out, making them look better. Okay, so now I can select. In fact, these verts could probably come down just a little bit too. This as well. That's another way to pull these polygons out. It's by pulling the vertices for the polygons. Yep, these need to come down even more. There we go. You can see them a little bit better from this angle. Oh, I think I made a boo-boo here. I did. Made a little mistake. So I got to fix this. Easy to fix. I don't know if you remember this or not, but there's this target weld tool right here. Click on the target weld. See the problem? I've got an edge going to a vertex here, another edge going to here, and somehow I managed to miss when I was doing this. So all I need to do is target weld this vertex to that one, and now it's one vertex. And that's exactly what we were after. Okay, now I can move this one down just a little bit. All right, we're almost done here, gang. I know that it's kind of a long process, but it's just the way it is. So that should work out pretty good for now. So let's turn on Mesh Smooth. Let's zoom out so we can see our entire character. These are very tiny hands. You know, out of context and everything, I can see these are very tiny hands. Guess what we can do with that? Make a big selection around all of this right here. And we're going to do a little scaling. So we're going to scale this on the z-axis, and we're going to scale this uniformly. Yep, let's do this again. That didn't work out so good. Undo. So we're going to, and let's undo it one more time. And one more time. There we go. Let's, because we're in this kind of funky, let's do this uniformly first. Scale that uniformly. That's better already. That might be all it really takes. Scaling that uniformly. You know, it's funny when you're fixated in one little area, and that's pretty easy to manage to do sometimes when you're sort of just kind of focused in that area because of the screen. You know, if I was drawing, I'd be seeing the whole drawing in front of me. But when we're kind of focused in that one area, that's a really good lesson for both you and me to be very careful about not letting that happen. So now that's a little bit better. It's a little bit better hand. In fact, because he's a cartoon guy, we could probably even scale up that hand a little bit more and make it kind of a large hand compared to, let's do the same thing to these vertices here. Make that wrist just a little bit bigger so it just feels a little bit more natural. There we go. So a little bit larger hands on this dude wouldn't be a bad idea. Okay. Now, kind of square, and we're going to be doing a lot of refining where we're going to be just adjusting vertices and getting it right and everything, pretty soon. The next big step here is we're going to start sort of refining the head a little bit. We're not going to start creating a face just yet, but it's coming up pretty soon. So next video we'll be kind of working on this area up here around the neck and the head, and creating a collar for our character's top of his t-shirt. Okay? Very good. See you pretty soon.